Be cool, be kind, be classy. A cupcake so sweet and sexy. Have fun and enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. Not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions and lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Sack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Mishegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcake's sweet and sassy. Not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Oh, hi. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. Happy New Year's Eve. How's everybody doing today? Good morning. Good morning, cupcakes. It's New Year's Eve. And today, we're going back to Massachusetts. We're going back to Massachusetts because Sergeant Goode, Sean Goode of the Canton PD, is just ignoring subpoenas. He's just ignoring them. What is it with law enforcement in Massachusetts that just think that they can ignore subpoenas that are served on them for records? I mean, what is up with that? And by the way, did we ever find out why he's been suspended? And is he still suspended with pay? And what is happening there? I was looking to see if I have a suspension letter, which I think I have. So just give me a second. Because I don't know that we ever looked at that together. And it's interesting because he's not even allowed on property. He's not even allowed on property at the Canton PD. So that's kind of interesting because we didn't see that in any other suspension letters that we read together. And there have been quite a few. Sean, not so good. Well done, GJ. Well done. Well, there's a motion to compel in civil court. And I'll find it eventually. Well, one of these days, I'm going to be so organized that it's going to make you guys like, you're going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. One day I'll get the hang of this and it's going to be crazy. All right, let's, what should we do first? First, let's check in with you guys. See how you're all doing. How you're all doing. Thank you on top for being on top of the super sticker this morning. Thank you so very much. We did 2 shows yesterday. Yesterday, we did a show on the federal lawsuit that's been filed against Jesse Mack Butler, the Stillwater School District, his father, the athletic director, the principal, and the school resource officer for protecting the rapist instead of the victim. We went over that. That show has been shadow banned. YouTube has decided that it's not quite right for advertisers because apparently they don't want anybody to know what's going on in Oklahoma. So if you like that show and you want me to keep covering the topic, please, if you would be so kind as to share that show out because that's what happens. They just, they shadow ban it. So there's that. The other case that we started going over yesterday is Sarah Grace Patrick. That trial is supposed to start this coming Monday, January 5th in Georgia. She's a 17-year-old girl who's been accused of and is going to stand trial for 2 counts of felony murder and 2 counts of malice murder for taking the lives of her mother and her stepfather. And I think there's a lot more to that story than we know because the mouthpiece for the sheriff's department over there in Carrollton County. Carroll County. It happened in Carrollton, Virginia, Georgia. The mouthpiece, the PR person, has gotten out and done a lot of press conferences without saying that there's a mountain of evidence, but never really specifying what the evidence was. And apparently, Sarah Grace Patrick's family or parents were killed by multiple gunshot wounds. Her grandfather says she doesn't even know how to shoot a gun. I don't think they have a murder weapon. Shadow banned means that it doesn't come up in people's feeds and people don't really see it. So the show is out there, but unless you're looking for it, it's not going to come up in your feed. It's part of the algorithm. If they deem it unfriendly to advertisers, that means YouTube can't make as much money off of it because maybe certain advertisers don't want to advertise on a show where like 17-year-old guy is who has graped two other 17-year-old girls, almost killing one of them by strangling her to the point where she was 30 seconds away from death. And he's going to get off with 1 year's probation and some counseling instead of having to go to jail because the Oklahoma judge decided we should treat him like, a youthful offender. So there's that, even though he pled no contest, which is basically like saying, well, I know I'm guilty, but I'm not going to admit that I'm guilty, even though there's video of me doing this to these girls because I took the video myself. I'm going to plead no contest and the judge is going to go light on me and, sentence me as a youthful offender. And it's pretty outrageous. And I'm outraged by that case. And I hope that you guys are too, because there's a lot of other cases out there that deserve the attention of the world. You guys are the world. The world is watching. You are the world. And if you're not here from the U.S., tell me where you're watching from. West Virginia says, wouldn't the rest of us be sitting in jail for contempt? No, I mean, because Goode didn't respond to the subpoena. No, I don't think he would be arrested on something like this. But it does give us pause. Why doesn't he have an attorney? Why is the union attorney not, coming in for him or making filing a notice of appearance for him? I'm assuming that Canton PD has its own union, or maybe the Massachusetts State Police Union wouldn't be behind him because he's not MSP, but he is Canton PD, and he's still Canton PD if he's suspended with pay, right? Because of all the administrative hoops that they need to jump through before they can fire him or terminate him or suspend him without pay. So that is still a work in progress. Thank you for your 5. But yeah, you would think if you're a cop, you might not ignore a subpoena. But then again, I don't think anything surprises me anymore in Massachusetts. Nothing. Thank you. Oh no, baby. What is you doing for your $5 super sticker? I appreciate you so much. Megyn Kelly interviewed Peter Tragos about Karen Reed. Did anybody see it? There's some little clips of it that are interesting that I may show you. And it's I think the full show is like an hour long. I don't know if you've seen certain clips of it, but you can find it on YouTube. Maybe I'll link it later if you've seen it. We'll take a look at a clip or two. Hang on one sec. Right. She did talk about Aidan Carney, or she did ask Peter about Aidan Carney. And so he did say nice things about Aidan Carney and his case. So I think that was very good. The interesting thing that I heard her say was that she did invite Karen Reed on her show. And because she asked for too much money, they said no, they didn't want to have her on. So I don't know. I also heard that Karen Reed has started a YouTube channel. I think it's up. And I don't know when that is going to launch or when anything is going to happen on there. But I have been told that Karen Reed is going to appear on the channel and that Alan Jackson's going to appear on the channel. And I think Nick Rocco is going to be the host. So be on the lookout for that. So let's just take a look at, hold on. Hi, Nicole. Thank you so very much. This is the best thing about 2025 was finding you. Miss Melanie, thanks for being you. Oh, thank you so much for your 10. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you who chooses to spend so many of your days and so many hours in your days hanging out with me, because you guys are awesome. All right, let's take a look at, let's go back to when Sergeant Sean Goode was placed on leave for a second. And this was November 3rd. And here's what Boston 10 had to say about it. Just let me know that you can hear it. We haven't really heard anything since November 3rd, right? What are the new developments? I don't know. Well, you say Peter missed some points, but whatever. Listen, you only have an hour and you can't really, I mean, I get it, but you can't really, thanks, Jennifer, you can't really, when you're on someone else's show like that and they're asking you pointed questions, you can't really go off and say all the things that you want to say because you have limited time. And also that's not a live show. I don't think. I think it's edited. So there could be a lot of stuff that wound up on the cutting room floor. And so, I don't know what he said or didn't say that just didn't make it into the final cut. Listen, Megyn's got a huge deal, I think, with Sirius XM, right? And she's got a huge team behind her and she's got editors and she's got a whole entire team. So I'm sure that there was a lot more to that interview that just didn't make the final cut. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's take a listen to this was when Goode was originally suspended back on November 3rd.
Tonight, there's new controversy involving the Canton Police Department.
A police officer who testified in the Karen Reed case is now on paid administrative leave due to allegations of misconduct. Now, in a statement, the town says Sergeant Sean Goode was put on leave after the allegations were discovered during an investigation into a former member of a different law enforcement agency. The independent investigator is now looking into those allegations. Goode testified during Reed's first murder trial last year, but did not testify at her retrial earlier this year.
The statement goes on to say, quote, the town is committed to providing the quality and level of service that the citizens of Canton deserve from their police department. To that end, we will take the necessary steps to ensure that actions by individual officers do not jeopardize that quality and level of service. Let's bring in NBC 10 courtroom insider Sue O'Connor, who attended both of Reed's trials and was there when Sergeant Goode testified in the first one. All right, Sue, so if we think about the action involving Goode, help us figure out if there are any dots to connect to either the Karen Reed case or to Michael Proctor, who was the lead investigator in that case and had these reams of text messages we just learned about that go back to 2013.
Yeah, we don't know, Glenn and JC, but here's what we do know. Both Sean Goode and Michael.
Let me know if you've noticed a shift in Sue O'Connell's viewpoint on the Karen Reed case, if you've noticed a little bit of a shift, because I think I have. Listen.
Proctor live in Canton. Goode went to high school.
Can I take it back a second? Okay.
Both Sean Goode and Michael Proctor live in Canton. Goode went to high school with Courtney Proctor, Michael Proctor's sister. And the Canton police audit found significant policy failures in the John O'Keefe investigation, improper crime scene photography, no recorded witness interviews, officers using those red Solo cups and personal phones to collect evidence. But auditors found no evidence of tampering and no evidence of a conspiracy to frame anyone.
So let's get a little bit deeper into Sergeant Goode's involvement in the Reed case. For folks who followed Reed's trials, his name is familiar.
Mm-hmm.
So what role did he play in the investigation into John O'Keefe's death?
Look, Goode was very involved in the investigation. He was all over it. He was the overnight dispatcher at the Canton Police when John O'Keefe died. He took both 911 calls, the first one from Kerry Roberts before 5 a.m., then
right.
Jennifer McCabe around 6 a.m., reporting that O'Keefe was unresponsive. Goode then rushed to the scene. He spoke to the homeowners, Brian and Nicole Albert, and he brought his personal leaf blower from home, which Lieutenant Gallagher asked him to do, and he used it to clear snow, Gallagher did, from the crime scene.
Right. He was like, anybody got a leaf blower? Hey, Goody, you live nearby. Why don't you shoot home, shoot back, bring your leaf blower. We'll see if we could find some evidence. And what did they find? They found a couple of drops of blood that they collected in Solo cups that they got from the across the street neighbor, Tom Kelleher, who was the acting chief of Canton PD at the time. He didn't come out, though, even though his guys were on the scene. Gave them some Solo cups and said, here, use this. And then with the leaf blower, they found some clear cocktail glass, right? And they thought it was around where the body of John O'Keefe was found, although nobody really knows because there was no evidence marker there. There was no, I don't even see any indentation in the snow where a body might have been taken away as recently as, I don't know, half hour ago, right? Do you see any grass patch there where John O'Keefe might have been laying? Because Kerry Roberts, when she went on the stand, I think twice and also in front of the grand jury, said that when they lifted John O'Keefe, there was grass underneath him, as there was no snow. And yet, here we are, allegedly in the area where John O'Keefe's body was found, and I'm not seeing any grass. Are you? After they found a couple of drops of red blood that they collected in those Tom Kelleher solo cups, then they found some pieces of clear cocktail glass, a clear cocktail glass. Yep. But what they did not find in the daylight was any pieces of red taillight at all. Not one piece out of however many they eventually found in the weeks leading up or in the weeks following. 47 pieces of taillight. Bright red taillights. Some of them were huge, the size of a dinner plate, I think. Maybe one of them was, if I recall correctly. Not one piece of red taillight was found because either the Canton PD are the most incompetent police force ever, or it just wasn't there. Because if that's where they were blowing with this leaf blower, which, I don't know how much you want to credit the audit company, because they thought it was a very novel idea that they used a leaf blower there to look for evidence. Ed Wallace's head popped off. He couldn't believe that they would contaminate the scene with all of the gas and fumes that were coming out of this leaf blower onto the evidence. So you'd either have to believe that the Canton PD is incompetent, or the red taillight was not there when there was maybe 2-3 inches of snow at the time, and they were leaf blowing the snow right in the area where they claim John O'Keefe's body was found. So wouldn't that be where the taillight would need to be, or not too far from there? People that have driven by that 34 Fairview front lawn say it's really not as big as it looks in the pictures. It's pretty damn small. And then the crime scene of 34 Fairview was left unsecured all day. They couldn't find any crime scene tape. They didn't think it was important, and it was windy. It was windy. They didn't secure the scene. Anybody could have been trampling all over that scene from the time that Canton PD cleared the scene. What time did they leave, everyone? Around 8 o'clock, close to 8. And then the next team, the CERT team, which, by the way, is not really supposed to be collecting evidence. They're supposed to be searching for missing people. The CERT team showed up around what time? I don't know. 5 o'clock. What time did they start searching the scene? 5:45 or so. So between 8 and 5, the scene was left totally unsecured. And who never, ever, ever found a piece of taillight at all was anybody who lived inside 34 Fairview. Isn't that crazy? I mean, it's just so crazy. You can't investigate a murder in the snow. It just doesn't happen, right? Insane. Sorry for the digression. Moving on.
And Goode gave key testimony in that first trial. He said he did not hear Reed say, "I hit him at the scene." And he testified that he found 0 pieces of taillight that morning. But a taillight photo later appeared in his report documentation, and he was questioned about that on the stand by the defense in that first trial.
All right, we'll be watching the story closely.
Indeed.
As always, Sue. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mastad says they do have the authority to search for evidence in the absence of crime scene services, but do you really think that should have been who they called first? How many other trials have we watched? Like when the CERT team, when it was out looking for Anna Walsh when she was a missing person, the CERT team was out looking for Katie McLean when they couldn't find her body, and then they found her body in the body of water, where they eventually found her body with her yoga pants weighed down with rocks. But this was not a search and rescue situation. They were looking for evidence, and they knew exactly what they were looking for because Tully gave them a list as if it was a scavenger hunt. Okay, here's what you're looking for. Couple of pieces of taillight and a sneaker. Ready, set, go. Oh, you got those? All right, we're done. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. It was like a scavenger hunt. Here's the letter as posted by Ted Daniel that Goode was served with, placing him on leave. Let's take a look at this. And this was delivered via hand delivery to Sergeant Goode on October 24th of 2025. Here it is. via hand delivery. So they actually gave it to him. Sean Goode, Police Sergeant, Canton PD. Notice of placement on paid administrative leave. Dear Sergeant Goode, please allow this correspondence to serve as formal notice that the town of Canton is placing you on a paid administrative leave of absence, effective immediately, pending the outcome of an administrative investigation. The matters under investigation include allegations that you engaged in conduct that violated the department's rules, regulations, and policies, including conduct unbecoming an officer. You are hereby administratively relieved from your duties at the Canton Police Department and from taking action in any manner as a Canton police officer or on behalf of the Canton Police Department unless specifically authorized by the Chief of Police. You are ordered to turn in your department-issued weapons, magazines, ammunition, police identification cards, department-issued badges, laptops, portable radio, keys, access control devices, and any other police department records and/or property in your possession. You are further ordered not to enter the non-public areas of town-owned buildings, including but not limited to the Canton Police Department, without being escorted by the Chief of Police or his designee. You are also ordered to refrain from using or accessing any police department computer equipment. You are ordered to draft a memo detailing any imminent and/or outstanding cases or items which would need attention in your absence. As part of this memo, please include any known deadlines and other pertinent information. Other than completing and emailing this memo to me, you are directed and ordered to refrain from the performance of any your duties and responsibilities as a police sergeant until such time you are notified otherwise. You are ordered not to contact any person or town employee who may serve as a witness in the instant investigation and to cooperate fully with any additional aspects of the town's investigation. Be advised, retaliation of any kind directed toward any person involved in this investigation will be met with disciplinary action up to and including termination. You will receive notice of an investigatory interview under separate cover. The town will consider any failure to strictly adhere to the above order as an act of insubordination. Should you have any questions, please contact me directly. And that is signed. Wait, hold on. Please be advised, in compliance with the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission, Post-Commission, the town may be required to send notification of the instant investigation to the Post-Commission. Sincerely, Joseph XOXO, Joseph Perkins, Interim Chief of Police, Canton PD, CC to the personnel file, and James Galanis, Union President. Hang on one second. And that goes all the way back to the end of October. And remember, this was right after Proctor's total phone extraction was released to the attorneys in the Miles King and other cases that are associated with Miles King and the other cases that are associated with Michael Proctor. The total phone extraction was released to them and to the union attorney for Proctor, who promptly withdrew his bid to try and get his job back with the MSP. And whatever was in there was so horrific that it caused the union to turn their back on him and release a statement saying that they were hoping to close this very embarrassing chapter in Massachusetts State Police history. Oh, please. Yes, Scott McGinnis. Yes, Interim Chief of Police Joe Perkins has been well received. Too bad he'll be replaced by the next Canton County pick. Wasn't it? Didn't we see him speak during one of the Canton Town Board meetings? I think. We saw him speak somewhere, and I thought people seemed to like him, and he was well received, just like you're telling us now. So what is it that was in Sergeant Goode's phone? What is it that they made him turn over his badge and gun? And he's never allowed to even step foot on Canton PD property again, ever, without an escort from the acting chief of police? Hi, Elaine. Elaine says, I'd be willing to bet they have dirt on Tully, but because he's on disability, they can't discipline him until he returns to duty. He's on disability? I don't even know if I knew that. Did we know that? Is that real? Thanks, Elaine. Crazy. Nothing good. Tell me something good. When will those messages receive on Impound Town? I don't know. We're still waiting. We are still waiting. Oh, thank you, Suze. I found it. I found it from Ted Daniel. Thank you so much. Super Chat, short one. Thank you for becoming a member. Gigi, thank you so very much for your 20. Says, I assure you, if one of my sons would have hurt any girl like that POS did, I would turn themselves in and beg for no bail. Trust me, they would be safer in jail than at home with mommy. So glad I raised good boys into men. We all. Thank you so very much. And says, but please accept your salary. Yeah, well, they can't. Listen, there's administrative hoops that they have to jump through. They can't just suspend him without pay, without due process, because really, believe it or not, due process is a thing, even sometimes in Massachusetts when it comes to cops. Thanks, Gigi. So they have to jump through administrative hoops before they can, do the other things. And so that's what happened. I wasn't aware that, yeah, Elaine, I don't think that Tully was on. I don't think Tully's on disability. Garino is out, but he's MSP. He's not Canton. And he was in a bad car accident. And so that is why. Correct. All right. Tully's not on disability. See, that's why I hesitate to highlight comments, because I don't want to. Tully's not on disability. That was an error. It's Garino. It's Garino. He's MSP. I don't know that he's going to be. I don't know that he's going to be disciplined for anything. But anyway, let's take a look at the motion to compel Sergeant Goode to turn over everything in the civil case of the O'Keefes versus Reed. This is the case where the O'Keefes are suing Karen Reed, the Waterfall, and C.F. McCarthy's for wrongful death on behalf of their brother and son, police officer, Boston police officer, John O'Keefe. And this is the motion. This was filed on December 9th. Just hit the docket. This is filed by Karen's attorneys in that case out of Plymouth County. This is a motion to compel Sergeant Sean Goode to produce documents in response to a subpoena. Karen Reed respectfully requests that the court compels Sergeant Sean Goode of the Canton Police Department to produce all documents in his possession, custody, or control that are responsive to the subpoena Reed served on him more than a month ago. On November 7th of 2025, Reed served a subpoena on Sergeant Goode at his last known residential address. Footnote 1 says, true and accurate copies of the subpoena and the related affidavit of service are attached as Exhibit 1 to the memo of law. The subpoena required Sergeant Goode to produce documents by November 15th, 2025. As of the date of filing, Sergeant Goode has not responded to Reed's subpoena in any manner, and the deadline to do so has long passed. Wherefore, Reed respectfully requests that the court allow this motion and compel Sergeant Goode to produce all documents responsive to the subpoena within 10 days of such order. XOXO, Karen Reed's attorneys, Damon Seligson, and two others from the Sheehan Finney law firm, Alan Jackson, Caleb Mason, Elizabeth Little of Worksman Jackson and Quinn. And this was dated December 9th. Following, in the same vein as this initial notice of motion, is a memorandum of law, which gives us a little bit more information as to what they are actually looking for from Sergeant Goode. This is the difference between civil court and criminal court, because as you recall, or as you may recall, in criminal court, Rule 17 motions need to be made. And Rule 17 motions are motions asking the judge to order the production of materials from third parties who are not parties to the criminal action. For example, there were Rule 17 motions made to obtain the cell phone data of Brian Albert and Brian Higgins. And I think Courtney Proctor at one time as well, right? And and Jennifer McCabe, they wanted her Google searches. They all had to come in with attorneys to fight it. Judge Cannoni denied it, and they couldn't obtain it. Went all the way to the appellate court, and it was denied in part and reversed in part. And it gave them a very small, if I remember correctly, this is all the way before trial one. It gave the defense a very small portion of Jennifer McCabe's phone. I think maybe some Google searches. I don't remember exactly, but she did not allow them to get Brian Albert's cell phone records. And was it Higgins as well? But in civil court, you can subpoena whatever you want. And when the third party doesn't comply, you can make a motion to compel like this. And then the judge can order it. Hold on one second. So the discovery in civil cases is much broader and much easier to get. Here's the memorandum of law in support of the motion to compel Sergeant Sean Goode to produce documents in response to the subpoena. And this is going to tell us what exactly it is that they're asking for. Okay. Defending Karen Reed respectfully requests that the court compel Sergeant Sean Goode of the Canton Police Department to produce all documents in his possession, custody, or control that are responsive to the subpoena Reed served on him more than a month ago. As of the date of the filing, Sergeant Goode has not responded to Reed's subpoena in any manner, and the deadline to do so has long passed. Here are the facts. Plaintiffs allege that Reed backed her car into John O'Keefe III on January 29th, 2022, and caused his death. They also allege that Reed created a, quote, false narrative that someone else killed Mr. O'Keefe, and that the police investigation into his death was corrupt, biased, and designed to deflect attention away from the law enforcement officers and their families who were inside the house at 34 Fairview Road in Canton the night Mr. O'Keefe died. Hold on a second. Okay, that's the false narrative that they claim Karen Reed created. And they're citing paragraphs out of the complaint. Plaintiffs claim this false narrative supports their negligent/reckless infliction of emotional distress claims against Reed. Reed denies the plaintiffs' claims. On November 7th, 2025, as part of her attempt to defend against plaintiffs' claims by, in part, proving that this same narrative was actually true, Reed served a subpoena on Sergeant Goode at his last known residential address. So he's had since November 7th. And it is now, today is December 29th. What is today? Did I say December 30th? He's had a good long time and he's just ignoring it. Sergeant Goode received the 911 call regarding Mr. O'Keefe's death. He was one of the first officers to respond to the scene at 34 Fairview Road and had been at the Canton police station when one of the occupants of the house, federal agent Brian Higgins, visited earlier that morning. Sergeant Goode was recently placed on administrative leave while the Canton Police Department conducts an investigation into his conduct, which public information suggests includes his communications with Michael Proctor, the former state trooper who led the investigation into Mr. O'Keefe's death. What a tangled web they've weaved. The subpoena seeks documents relating to Reed, Mr. O'Keefe, Sergeant Goode's leave, Proctor, and other relevant topics. See Massachusetts Rule of Civil Procedure 26B1, which says parties may obtain discovery regarding any matter not privileged which is relevant to the subject matter involved in the pending action, whether it relates to the claim or defense of the party seeking discovery or to the claim or defense of any other party. That, my friends, is the very broad discovery rule in civil court in Massachusetts. Rule 45 allows parties to obtain discovery from non-parties by subpoena. See, as I said before, you can't just do that in criminal court. You can't just serve a subpoena on Brian Albert and say, here, give us your phone records. You can do it in civil, but you can't do it in criminal. Pursuant to the subpoena, Sergeant Goode's response was due on November 15th. Sergeant Goode has not contacted Reed's counsel through his own counsel or directly and has not produced any documents. The court should order him to comply. Conclusion: for the foregoing reasons, Reed respectfully requests that the court allow the motion and compel Sergeant Goode to produce all documents. Here's Exhibit 1. This is the subpoena that Goode was served with. To Sergeant Sean Goode, greetings. You are hereby commanded, in the name of the Commonwealth of the Massachusetts, pursuant to the provisions of Rule 45 of the Massachusetts Rules of Civil Procedure, to produce the documents identified in the attached Schedule A at the offices of Sheehan Finney, Karen's attorneys, on or before November 15th at 10 a.m. And then footnote 1 says, to arrange electronic production of the requested documents, please contact Attorney Aaron Rosenberg at this phone number or this email address. Hereof, fail not, as failure by any person without adequate excuse to obey a subpoena served upon him may be deemed a contempt of the court in which the action is pending. Let's take a look at the list of documents that they're asking for. Schedule A is definitions, and we've been over this in other subpoenas before, so I'm going to just slowly scroll through this in case you want to screenshot it for yourself to read the definitions later. I don't think it's important that I read them again to you because they are lengthy. And there are also instructions what to do if you're withholding any documents because you're claiming they're privileged. And if they're privileged, you have to identify a number of things and why you think they're privileged and all the dates and pages. And if you object to a particular request, you must produce everything else that is not subject to the objection. This is all standard language. It's pretty much boilerplate for subpoenas. And any attorney hired by Sergeant Sean Goode will know how to respond to this and will know the ramifications if they don't. What is the most interesting part of this subpoena, in my opinion, is the list of documents that they're looking for. So let's get to that. Here it is, documents requested. 1, all documents, video or audio recordings and communications, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages to, from, or concerning Karen Reed or any of her family members, heirs, assigns, employees, contractors, agents, attorneys, or other representatives. So they're looking for anything related to Karen Reed or any of her family members that Goode has possession of, whether it be documents, video, or audio recordings, any kinds of communications, emails, text messages, any other instant messages to him, from him, or concerning Karen Reed or her family members. 2, all documents, video or audio recordings and communications, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages concerning the 2021 black Lexus LX570 SUV leased by Karen Reed as of January 28th of 2022. Number 3, all documents, video or audio recordings and communications, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages concerning or referring to the death of John O'Keefe III on or about January 29th, 2022. Anything concerning John O'Keefe's death. And it's not specifically limited to communications on that day. The date is referring to his date of death. Number 4, all documents, video, audio recordings or communication, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages to, from, or concerning John O'Keefe II, Paul O'Keefe, or Margaret O'Keefe from January 1st of 2021 to the present. It's a little over a year before the death of John O'Keefe. And they want to know if Goode had any communications with or about John O'Keefe, Paul O'Keefe, and John O'Keefe's mom, Peggy O'Keefe, within the year prior up until now. Did they get wind of some of the stuff that was in Proctor's phone extraction? I don't know. Did they get wind of some of the stuff that led to Goode's suspension from Canton PD? I don't know, but that makes my spidey senses go up a little bit. Number 5, all documents, video or audio recordings and communications, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages to, from, or concerning Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Chris Albert, Julie Albert, Colin Albert, Brian Higgins, Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, Allison McCabe, Kerry Roberts, or any other individual present at 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Mass. On January 28th or January 29th of 2022, or any interviews, meetings, conversations, or encounters with any such individuals from January 1, 2021 to the present. It has been held in most jurisdictions that asking for communications within 1 year prior of an event has been held to be not unduly burdensome and overly broad. However, we would have to see what the judge in this case would do with this, whether he would think that was too far in advance. But I think what they're trying to show here, based on our context clues, is that they think that Sean Goode may have had some sort of relationship, maybe, prior to the death of John O'Keefe with some of these people. Maybe. And that's what they're asking for. Oh, please. Number 6, all documents, video or audio recordings and communications, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages to, from, or concerning Stephen Saroff from January 28th, 2022 to the present. Refresh my recollection. Was Officer Saroff the first one on the scene that morning? He was one of the first on the scene that morning. And I remember that the log was incorrect. And I remember them trying to blow that off as not really a big deal. Doesn't really matter who got there first or what the log says, because, you know, it just matters that they were all on the way there. You remember that? He was the first, Suze? Yeah, he was, right? But I think that the log said something different and it was off, but they tried to blow it off. But it didn't really it wasn't really a big deal that it wasn't accurate. Number 7, all documents, video or audio recordings and communications, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages to, from, or concerning Michael Lank from January 28th, 2022 to the present. I mean, we know Michael Lank had a prior history with the Albert family. How do we know? Well, we heard all about it during the first trial and during the first pretrial because there were a lot of motions about whether or not that stuff was going to be let in. But Michael Lank, I've dubbed him the Ray Donovan of the Albert family because he had been inserting himself into family business of the Alberts since the 90s. He was the fixer. Remember the Lopa Lotto brothers and Tim Albert's incident where Tim Albert, I think, rear-ended somebody at a stoplight, fled the scene, and then his trail of oil spill led right to the driveway of 34 Fairview. And that time Lank had to actually do something about it because of the evidence. The fixer. He was the fixer. Number 8, all documents, video or audio recordings and communication, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages to, from, or concerning Kevin Albert from January 28th, 2022 to the present. Well, that's going to be interesting too, because for those of you who don't know, Kevin Albert, I think he is still a detective with the Canton PD. His brother is Brian Albert, who was the homeowner of 34 Fairview in Canton at the time of John O'Keefe's murder. Or if you just want to say death, you can say death. And Kevin Albert, it has been shown through testimony arranged for some of the witness statements to be conducted at Canton PD, including the witness statement of Katie McLaughlin, the EMT, who went to a high school with a girl named Caitlin Albert, who happens to be the daughter of Brian Albert, but no big whoop. They're not connected at all. And I heard there's some sidebars about that. And no, I have not had a chance to go through all the transcripts yet, but I will. Kevin Albert was also spanked on the wrist. And I think, what was his penalty for going out and getting hammered with Michael Proctor on the Cape while they were investigating a cold case and then losing his badge and gun in Proctor's car or the squad car, whatever car they were using. I think it was a police issued vehicle, right? And I think he got a couple of days vacation docked, I think, maybe, and a paid summer off. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I know you will. But 2 days vacation, is that what it was? 2 days vacation? That he probably, who knows how many, 3 days? I thought it was 3. I thought it was 3 days vacation or maybe 5 at the most. I think Buchanan lost a couple of days vacation too. And you know, they have how many hundreds of days they've might have banked by this time. But dude, where's my gun? Dude, where's my gun? Have you seen it? I can't find it. Proctor said, well, I found your badge in my cup holder. Kevin Albert was like, oh, dude, can you drop it off in my mailbox? Yeah, we know that. We remember. Kevin Albert never was called to the stand. But maybe, I don't know, some people might say he could be involved a little bit more in this than anybody's ever said. Than anybody's ever talked about. I don't know. The reason that the Canton PD was immediately conflicted off of the investigation was because Kevin Albert works with Canton PD. He's a detective there. And the murder victim was found on his lawn, on his brother's lawn. I mean, you just can't make it up because you just can't make it up. Number nine, provide for forensic examination and copying all cellular or smartphones which you used either personally or professionally at any time from January 1st of 2021 through the present. Well, do you think we're going to find out that he destroyed his phone too? Or his phones? That'll be interesting. The response to this will be very interesting. It's wild to me that he didn't have an attorney respond to this and he just ignored it. Number 10, all documents, video or audio recordings and communications, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages concerning 34 Fairview Road, Canton, Massachusetts, 02021. Any messages, anything concerning 34 Fairview. Wasn't there, remind me if I'm wrong, and I know you will, wasn't there some photographs that were taken on scene after Goode shot home, shot back with his leaf blower, even though Canton PD was only, I don't know, 1.2 miles away or something. Weren't there some photos taken with some sort of phone that also was destroyed and that they could never provide copies of the photographs? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was like the department issued camera or phone, and that just disappeared. Maybe he's got something on his phone that was never turned over, because we know how much was never turned over. All that Sallyport video that magically appeared after the first trial and magically appeared in time for the second trial. Lamasu says the phone was turned into Apple. Yeah, it was a department iPhone and it's lost as well. That's what I thought, Brittany. That's what I thought. Proctor's drawer. Maybe they should look in Proctor's drawer with the rest of the video that was missing, because Judge Canoni in her decision said that she put it all on Proctor. She never held an evidentiary hearing about all that missing Sallyport video that magically appeared. She blamed Proctor and she said it was in Proctor's drawer. Maybe that's where it is. Written dreams. Opinion. Is the taking of oaths is a topic no one is discussing, and we need to, because some of these people make oaths with brotherhoods that supersede their oaths to uphold the Constitution. Praise be. Truckers it against tie clips knows it. He says when this is all said and done, there will still be things that weren't turned over. Yep. Serenity. RPH says, I cannot wait to hear Proctor answer if he held videos in his drawer. I mean, they've thrown him under the bus. He's lost everything. He's got nothing left to lose at this point. So it'll be very interesting to hear him testify about whether or not that is actually true, or whether they just decided to make him the fall guy, which I think is what they did. Number 11. All documents, video or audio recordings and communications, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages concerning any dog owned, kept, or fostered by any member of the Albert family at 34 Fairview Road in Canton from January 1, 2021 to present. Well, that's interesting. Anybody have any thoughts on what that's all about? Any dog owned, kept, or fostered by any member of the Albert family at 34 Fairview Road. Well, I mean, it's Chloe for sure. They want to know about Chloe, who turned into Cora maybe and was rehomed a couple of times till maybe she wound up in Vermont, owned by a veterinarian, but we never really even got the truth on that. Were there any other dogs? I don't know. Did they have a second dog? But it's specific to 34 Fairview Road. So if any of the kids lived at any other address, they're not including that. Yeah, I still have questions about this, Julie. Thank you for bringing it up. The weird testimony about finding a lost dog. Allie McCabe had a very long and involved story about January. I don't remember if was it January 20? It was January 28th, 2022, where she claims to have found a dog on the side of the road and brought it into the police department. And while she was there, and you can correct me on the details because I don't remember if I have them exactly 100% right. While she was at Canton PD, the dog's owner called in, and then they asked Allie to bring the dog back to the owner. Is that the story? Does anybody remember the exact story? It was so random, so bizarre. She testified to it only in trial one because she only testified in trial one. There was not a whole lot of detail about this, but it was a very detailed story. Yeah, the lost dog spontaneous story and how she brought it to Canton PD. We might have to watch it. But it's like, what kind of dog was it? She was with some friends, I think. She said it was a brown and white dog. I think we might have to use a little trial channel today. We might have to go to trial channel and pull up that testimony and just watch that part again. Because that's very interesting to me. Oh, did Samantha Benigno just recently do that? Hold on, I pulled it up. So I pulled up the trial channel version so we can take a look at it if you want to. I just thought it was such a weird thing to like, why did she add that to her testimony? It was unnecessary. Like, even if it's true, why would you need to testify about that unless you were worried that, well, KBD says, I wonder if that was in case they found dog hair in her car. I don't know. I don't know. Number 12, all documents, video or audio recordings and communication, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages concerning any investigation by any federal agency, FBI, department, board, administration, office, or agent relating in any way to the death of John J. O'Keefe III from January 28th, 2022 to the present. I mean, federal agency could also, well, any investigation by any federal agency. I don't know if the ATF ever investigated anything having to do with Brian Higgins or if any other administrative body ever did, because that's never been made public. But FBI. 13, all documents, video or audio recordings and communication, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages to, from, or concerning Yuri Buchanan from January 28th, 2022 to the present. He did receive a little slap on the wrist too. I don't remember. Between Kevin Albert and Yuri Buchanan, I think one had been docked 5 days vacation and one had been docked maybe 3 days vacation. I don't remember exactly which was which at this point. 14, all documents, video or audio recordings and communications, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages to, from, or concerning Michael Proctor from January 28th, 2022 to the present. Don't forget iMessenger. That's right, iMessenger. Proctor Buchanan. His phone may tell us everything, unless he's destroyed it, cracked his SIM card in half, and thrown it on a military base. You never know. 15, all documents, video or audio recordings and communications, including but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages to, from, or concerning Brian Tully from January 28th, 2022 to the present. Tully is everywhere. Tully's in everything. And I can't wait to find out how involved he was in all of this. He's heavily involved in the Aiden Carney case as well. Number 16, all documents, video or audio recordings, and communications including, but not limited to emails, text messages, and other forms of instant messages to, from, or concerning Kelly Dever from January 28th, 2022 to the present. Number 17, all documents, video or audio recordings, and communications concerning any disciplinary investigation, proceeding, decision, action, or appeal concerning your conduct, meaning your conduct, Sergeant Sean Goode, as a sergeant, officer, or other employee of the Canton PD from January 1, 2021 to the present. All roads lead to Tully. You're right. Number 18, all documents concerning the town of Canton's independent investigation into allegations of misconduct, which resulted in or preceded you being placed on administrative leave by Canton PD, as described in the media report available at WCVB.com article. They did an independent investigation and they suspended him with pay. They want receipts and they're entitled to them. Number 19, all documents concerning the allegations of misconduct against you, which the Canton Police Chief Perkins stated led to you being placed on administrative leave by the Canton PD, as described in the media report at WCVB. Article. There's the affidavit of service, which I'm not going to show you just in case it doxes his home address, because I wouldn't want to do that. But all of this is relevant, and all of this they're entitled to, reason being that the plaintiff's complaint alleges that Karen Reed I'm going to find you the exact language. Created a false narrative that someone else killed Mr. O'Keefe and that the police investigation was corrupt. That's the false narrative that the O'Keefe family is accusing Karen Reed of creating, and she's entitled to defend herself against that. How does she defend against that? Well, she's going to get the records from Proctor. She's already demanded them. At least he got an attorney to ask for more time, but then there was no response. This is just the second of what is going to be voluminous third-party discovery requests. Because not only is she going to ask for communications from Goode, which is the one that we're seeing right now, you can bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. And that tomorrow, or in days coming up real soon, the same subpoenas, if they haven't already been served, will be served on such people as Kevin Albert, Yuri Buchanan, Tully, Gallagher, Saraf, every single law enforcement officer that arrived, Lank, every single law enforcement officer that responded to the scene. And we're going to be here for all of it. Keefe, wasn't Connor Keefe the one who was keeping track of the CERT team taillight pieces as they were found? Every single officer who was on scene. And by scene, I mean actually 34 Fairview. And even those who weren't, like Yuri Buchanan says he never went there that day. And they're going to be entitled to it all. And the reason they're going to be entitled to it all is because the O'Keefes allege that Karen Reed created a false narrative. And again, sometimes it falls under the category of you better want what you wish for, because she's going to be entitled to all this stuff. It's not unduly burdensome. It's not overly broad. When you accuse someone in a wrongful death lawsuit of creating a false narrative, she's going to be entitled to defend herself. And the way she can defend herself is by getting all of this information. And we'll see how many of them destroy their phones, how many of them are going to claim they don't have their phones anymore, et cetera, et cetera. And we've seen it before, because what they've done is Say they just don't have it. They just don't have it. I don't have my phone anymore. Right. Carrie B says they think they can slither around on their personal phone. Guess what? It's discoverable. It is. It's discoverable. Thank you, Sky Bell, for gifting a membership. Thank you so much. Good citizen from Weymouth says, in my opinion, it's going to circle back to Sandra Birchmore. Maybe. Gigi gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Gigi. You're amazing and so generous. Kyle says the lack of legal representation may be because they're toxic. Could be. Thanks, Kyle. Thanks for being with me for 4 months. And Gigi says Chloe drove off in the Ford Edge. Don't know anything about that, but I think some people might think that. Thank you, Chloe. Some people think that the Ford Edge that Lucky Lochran testified that he saw in front of 34 Fairview was used for other reasons. And so we just don't know. But what we do know is there were a couple of Ford Edges in the family and friends, I think. We know that Colin Albert was driving a Ford Edge when he got a ticket when he was at college, right? We looked at that years ago. And I think it was registered to his mom. So there's at least 1 or 2. And did Kevin Albert also own a Ford Edge? See, so there's at least 1 or 2. People say Nicole owned a Ford Edge. I don't know for sure, but I do know that there was maybe more than 1 Ford Edge in the family. Don't know. And that the police use a lot of Ford Edges there, somebody else said. So maybe it had nothing to do with them. Maybe it had something to do with them. I don't know. I'm not a police investigator, but what I do know is that there was no real investigator. There was no real investigation done on the murder of a fellow Boston police officer, a fellow brother in blue. In fact, if you believe Michael Proctor and Yuri Buchanan, they didn't even go to the scene that day. They didn't even go to the scene on January 29th of 2022, where a fellow brother in blue was found dead on the lawn, looking like he just went something like 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. Because wasn't there also testimony that somebody said that? Maybe Paul O'Keefe said that? Tell me. What you remember from the testimony from the first trial. Who said that it looked like John O'Keefe went 10 rounds with Mike Tyson? Somebody did. Thank you, Elaine, so much for your $200 Venmo. Says, happy holidays. Thanks for keeping us up to date. You're the best, Elaine. I love you with all of my heart. Paul did. Paul O'Keefe said it. Thank you. I thought so. I thought I wasn't going crazy. Did he say it? Did he testify to it? Or was it something that he said when he saw John in the hospital? I mean, it looked like he went 10 rounds with Mike Tyson to he was hit by a Lexus SUV with no injuries below the neck, except what looks like a dog attack to his right arm. We don't need to rehash it. Karen Reed's been acquitted, and now she's suing for violation of her civil rights. That case was filed in Bristol County against everyone. And the House defendants, all represented by the same attorney, which is shocking to me, have filed a notice of removal to federal court. And we'll see what happens with that, whether the federal court decides to retain jurisdiction or whether it will be sent back to state court, because it could go either way. It's going to depend on what a federal judge says. So many questions. There's more questions than answers, in my opinion. I just want to go back to Allie McCabe's testimony about this dog. I don't remember exactly. Was it in the beginning of her testimony? Hold on. Oh, please. Was it in the beginning? If I can find the transcript. Because I just found that so odd. Let's just look at the beginning of her testimony for a minute, because I just want to prove to myself that I'm actually not crazy and heard what I heard, and you guys heard it too. Let's shout out to the trial channel for clipping all of these testimonies into separate videos so we can find what we need quickly. You guys are the best. Again, this was on trial during trial 1. And this was day 12 of Karen Reed's first trial, which was on May 15th of 2024. This is the daughter of Jennifer McCabe and Matt McCabe. Her name is Allie. I did feel sorry for her during her testimony. I felt like she was put in a horrible position and was very scared to be there. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, here we go. Wow. Anybody have PTSD? But there's Nancy, our favorite court reporter. All right. And Judge Canoni and Allie McCabe back on May, whatever I said, 2024. Let me know that you can hear it.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Lally.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name?
Allie McCabe, MCCABE.
And where do you live, ma'am?
Canton.
And how long have you lived in Canton?
Basically my whole life except first few months I lived in Stoughton.
And do you work? Do you go to school?
I'm a student.
In college, is that correct?
Yes.
And what year are you in college?
I just finished my sophomore year.
And when living in Canton, who, if anyone, do you live in Canton?
My 2 parents and my 3 sisters.
So you're one of 4 girls, is that correct?
Correct.
And are you the oldest?
Yes.
And your parents, what are their names?
Matt and Jen.
If I could turn your attention to January 28th into January 29th, 2022. Do you recall those days?
Yes.
And do you recall what days of the week those were?
Friday and Saturday, I believe.
And so on that Friday evening, starting with there, well, let me ask you this first. At that time, you were a high school student, is that correct?
Correct.
And where did you go to high school?
Canton High School.
All 4 years?
Yes.
And did you play any sports when you were at Canton High School?
Yes.
And what sports did you play?
Soccer, hockey, and lacrosse.
And so January, that would have been which sports season?
Hockey season.
Now, with respect to the hockey, as far as that evening of the 28th, how did your evening start out, or what, if anything, were you doing first that evening?
What if anything?
It started with a team dinner at my house. The hockey team came over. We had dinner. Then I went to my sister's basketball game at the Canton High School. Then I was hanging out with 2 of my friends. We were driving around. Then the night ended with me driving Colin Albert home.
And so let me start sort of back at the beginning before we go all the way through. So as far as the team dinner, is that something that was like a weekly thing?
Yeah, it was usually like the night before a game.
And sort of rotated between different players' houses?
Correct.
So where was it on that particular?
That night it was at my house.
And about what time did the team dinner get done, or what time did that wind down and you went to the basketball?
I'm not exactly sure. The basketball games typically start around 6:30, so I assume around then.
And who, if anyone, from your family was involved in the basketball?
My younger sister,
And was she JV, varsity? What was she playing on at that time?
varsity.
And who, if anyone else from your family, was at the basketball?
My parents. I'm not sure about my sisters.
And did you go with your parents or separately, or how did you get there?
I believe I drove and I arrived later than my parents.
And as far as at that time, did you have your own car?
Yes.
And what kind of car did you have?
A little Ford Fusion blue.
And when you arrived there, you're a high school senior, correct?
Correct.
You sit with your parents during the game?
No.
There's sort of like a student section, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you sat there with your friends.
Yes.
And when the game gets over, where was it that you went?
I believe I was just driving around with 2 of my friends. And then as we were driving, we came across a dog on the side of the street.
Okay, here we go. So this was after the game. This is after the game. Hold on a second. She didn't sit with her parents. She after the game? Did she say after the game? So the game started at 6:30. Okay. Do you sit with your parents? No. Who does? I do. My kids sit with me
No.
when we go to stuff.
There's sort of like a student section, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you sat there with your friends.
Yes.
And when the game gets over, where was it that you went?
I believe I was just driving around.
Okay, so the game starts at 6:30. How long is a high school basketball game? Ballpark it for me. I'm not a basketball fan. After the game, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours. Tell me, I don't know. After the game is over, she's out driving around with her friends. It's got to be dark, right? Because it's January. Got to be dark, and then she finds a dog. And I'm not saying she didn't find a dog. I'm just wondering why Lally wants her to talk about this. Because it's Lally that's asking her these questions. 90 minutes, 2 hours? Okay, 2 hours max. So let's say by then it's maybe 8:30. It's dark. She's got her friends in the car with her. And here's what happens next.
When the game gets over, where was it that you went?
I believe I was just driving around with two of my friends. And then as we were driving, we came across a dog on the side of the street. We knew a snowstorm was coming. So we picked the dog up and then brought it to the police station and then drove the dog back to where its owner's house.
Okay. That was in narrative form. Okay. Why does Lally want her telling this story? It's 8:30 at night. She's with two of her friends. They see a dog. They pick up the dog. That's a very kind thing to do. Very kind. She knows a snowstorm is coming. She feels bad for the dog. I get it. I get it. And so she picks up the dog and brings it to the police station and then delivers the dog to its owner. Okay. Remember at 8:30 p.m., I don't even think it started snowing yet, right? And so this is just such a weird narrative that Lally wants her to give. And I just don't know why. Here you go.
And then, so we picked the dog up and then brought it to the police station and then drove the dog back to where its owner's house.
And so just as far as the friends that you were driving around with, what are their names?
Avery Panadosi and Danielle Seaman.
Can you do us a favor and spell those last names for our court
yes.
reporter, please?
Piantedo.
I don't want to even hear this because I don't want people contacting them because there are some wackadoos out there who will try and contact these girls. Were they ever interviewed? I don't know.
Yes.
And those were friends of yours from school, from Canton High School as well?
Yes.
And had they been with you at the game previously?
Yes, I believe so.
So you, when you say drove around, whereabouts were you driving?
Through Canton, pretty aimlessly, just driving.
And at some point you come upon a dog, is that correct?
Correct.
And where was that?
On Elm Street.
And this was a dog obviously unfamiliar to you, is that correct?
Yes.
What did you do with the dog?
The dog ran over to the car when we stopped and picked the dog up, and we didn't really know what to do with it, so we brought it to the police station.
Do you recall at all what kind of dog it was?
Now he wants her to go into great detail about this. Great detail about this dog. Is there video of Allie McCabe walking into Canton PD that day with the dog? Because there should be, right? I mean, there's so many video cameras. We know how many video cameras there are in and around Canton PD. Why is this testimony so? It bothers me to this day. If anybody can explain to me why. Somebody said because they want people to think that she's a nice girl and she would pick up a dog and so she couldn't be involved in anything nefarious. Maybe. I don't think she's involved in anything nefarious. I feel bad that she even had to come in and testify because she really has no information other than allegedly she picked Colin up at 12:10, because this was all about defense of the McCabes and Alberts, this trial. Number one, all about it. Very little to no evidence about a car accident. Lots of evidence in defense of the McCabes and Alberts. It was wild.
No, white Jim.
Do you recall at all what kind of dog it was?
No, white.
Dog, small dog.
It was small. It was white and brown. Not sure what type.
And so while you're at the police station, what, if anything, did you learn about that dog that you brought to the police station?
I went in the police station. The dog stayed in the car with one of my friends. And as I was walking in and telling the officer that I found a dog, he got a call from the owner, and she asked if she was like, "Oh, can you return my dog, please?"
And so you brought the dog back to the owner?
Yes.
You know about what time all of that was going on?
I'm not sure.
So she didn't actually bring the dog into the station. She left the dog in the car with her friends, and she went into the station. And coincidentally, as she's walking in the front door, the dog owner calls Canton PD and says, and then they ask her to bring the woman her dog back. Like, I just don't understand why Lally needed this story out there. This is a murder trial. Okay, Karen Reed was being tried for murder. And this, for some reason, this story was so important for Lally to bring out. Who let the dog out? Who let the dog out? And then she delivers the dog. I'm sorry, what?
You know about what time all of that was going on?
I'm not sure.
Now,
Not sure, but it had to be after 8:30 p.m. It had to be dark. So it had to be 8:30. And they got to have a record of the call, right? Of the woman calling about the dog. If it was a woman, I think she just said owner. I don't even know if she said he or she. And so it's sometime between 8:30 p.m. and 12:10 p.m., right? But the dog didn't go into the station, but then she brought the dog back to its owner. Let's keep listening.
you mentioned that you had picked up a person by the name of Colin Albert, is that right?
Correct.
And who was Colin Albert to you, or could you describe to the jury sort of?
And then that was it. He had to get that whole story out. Was she crossed on that? Was she crossed on the dog story? Because I have so many questions. Her entire testimony is an hour and 10 minutes long. And I don't remember if she was crossed on the dog story, but I just thought for those of us who remembered, we'd play it again because I just don't remember. You can tell me how it works in Canton. But the Islington girl says if the dog was there and the owner called about it, I would fully expect the cops to return the dog. Maybe I'm weird. Patty said, why would the owner call the cops instead of why would they call the police instead of animal control? Did she ever even say that it was Canton PD that she went to? She just said I went to the police station. Did she say it was Canton? McAdoo said her Life 360 would have all that information, right? Yeah, and you can bet that in the civil case, they're going to get it. They're going to ask for it, and they're going to get it. Lucy says there were a lot of times during trial one that Lally would bring out bad evidence for the prosecution with their own witnesses and not bat an eyelash. This feels like that, but why? Well, if you believe that Michael Marcy was forced to make that hostage statement video in August of 2023 to defend certain people, they may have wanted this story out there for some reason. I don't know. JJF71 says her Life 360 is the only one that's 10% that is 100% accurate according to her Life 360. But her Life 360 had her out, remember? Olivia posted the report on Twitter. Oh, a long time ago. I just don't understand why it was important for the jury to hear that. I mean, it could be 100%. I don't doubt that it's true. I'm not doubting the truth of it. I'm trying to understand why he wanted the jury to hear about it. CPU Mod 1 says, I would not want my children delivering a dog to a stranger. That's a little bit weird. My Labrador's mom says, why would the police have a civilian young woman return the dog to a stranger's house? The dog story and accidentally leaving the plow down by Higgins was sus. Yeah, also, was Goode the one on duty when she went in about the dog? Was Goode the one who was there? No, I believe that the dog story is true, but I want to know why it was so important, according to Allie, for the jury to hear about it. I think it's bizarre that they would ask her to return the dog, but that's just me. Yeah, he even asked what color the dog was. Did Lally have concerns that the defense would say that she was seen with a dog in her car that night? Maybe. Emily says, again, police never miss an opportunity to have someone else do their job for them. Right? I don't know. Is some of the stuff that was found in Goode's phone? Who knows? Who knows? Some of the stuff found in Proctor's phone have to do with this? I don't know. Whatever was found in Proctor's phone allegedly has a lot to do with Goode's suspension, because that's all they had on Goode when they decided to suspend him, and it happened in very close proximity to that entire phone dump. Right? Moat thinks that AJ wanted it on the record for the civil case. The same with the Life 360 data. Lally was trying to get ahead of AJ's cross. He did that a lot too. He did that a lot. He tried to get ahead of the cross a lot. Didn't always work out for him so well. Maybe. But again, when did the defense become aware of this story? How did they become aware of it? Because, they were not that forthcoming with evidence actually related to the case involving the murder of John O'Keefe. I don't even think Allie ever gave a statement to law enforcement. Did she? Did she ever give a statement? Because I don't remember her ever giving a statement. I don't remember ever reviewing it with you guys. And so it's just kind of irrelevant. It's irrelevant to me. Why was it brought up? I don't know. She didn't say. She just said it was a small brown and white dog. Hang on. Hold. I'm going to show you part of the Megyn Kelly interview. Okay. Here's Megyn Kelly with Peter Tragos saying that she thinks it's crazy or wild that Karen Reed is suing other parties in this case. Hold on. And that you never see it, but actually you kind of do see it quite a bit. So let's, Peter, I thought Peter did a good job. Let's see what Peter's got to say about this.
She is going to have to testify in this case. But what's extraordinary is there's lawsuits going the other way against her. By whom exactly?
So there are lawsuits against her and the bars by the O'Keefe family for wrongful death. Like you said, that's normal, different burden, civil court versus criminal. You can be found not
Yeah,
guilty.
sorry, I meant to say the opposite. Lawsuit by her against others.
Yes. So she has also filed a lawsuit against.
It's not weird because she's alleging a violation of her civil rights. And so civil rights cases do happen quite a bit. after criminal cases.
Against the aforementioned Michael Proctor, who was the lead investigator on the case, Yuri Buchanan, who was another trooper who was Proctor's supervisor, and then everybody's supervisor, Brian Tully, another
Tully's
law
everywhere.
enforcement officer. And then the 5 people in the house that she basically thinks are responsible for John O'Keefe's death: Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, and Brian Higgins. Higgins is who she had the affair with. The Alberts are who owned the
Okay. Sorry, Peter. She didn't really have an affair with him. I think there was some flirtatious texting, but let's keep going.
house. McCabe is who searched house long to die in the cold. So those are the people that she's suing for basically conspiring to pin this on her, violating her rights, civil conspiracy, trying to pin it on her and literally ruining her life.
That's crazy. You never see that. Never. Because let's face it, 9 times out of 10, more than that, the defendant actually is guilty, maybe got off on a technicality like, oh,
She's an attorney. She's an attorney, right? I mean, I do like Megyn. I like Megyn a lot. 9 times out of 10, the person is actually guilty. Do you know how many innocent people are sitting in prison right now? Wow. Hang on.
the defendant actually is, because let's face it, 9 times out of 10, more than that, the defendant actually is guilty.
More than 9 times out of 10, the defendant is actually guilty.
Maybe got off on a technicality like OJ or jury nullification in OJ's case. And the last thing they want to do is go back into court with anybody. You know, it's like, they know they kind of got away with it. It's like, okay, I'm out of here. But she is not in that posture. She's like, let's go. Now,
Yeah, because John O'Keefe wasn't hit by a car and a car didn't hit John O'Keefe. So let's go. She's lost everything. Let's go. Let's try and get everything back.
now she also appears to need money, because I'll tell you, we invited her to come in this show and she wanted tens of thousands of dollars. And we told her, goodbye, madam. We're news.
Okay. Okay, wait, hold on. I don't know if she's going to strike me for this, but it's fair use. I'm commentating. This is fair use. Take it back a smidgen.
Tens of thousands of, because she's like, let's go. Now, she also appears to need money, because I'll tell you, we invited her to come in this show and she wanted tens of thousands of dollars. And we told her, goodbye, madam. We're news people. We don't pay for news, which
They
does
don't.
make me question how she wound up talking to Dateline and others, because NBC is also not supposed to pay for news. In any event, she could.
I don't think any of them, I don't think she got paid for any of those documentaries like Nightline, Dateline, Highline. I don't know what other ones she did, but I don't think, yes, we're in the land of the lost. Thank you. Thank you, Becky. We're in the land of the lost. And sometimes when we're in the land of the lost, we put up our mascot Chaka, because Chaka was a character on Land of the Lost in the 70s. So the Gen Xers know what I'm talking about. Let's see how Peter decides to deal with this.
Clearly is hard up for cash. So maybe it's just a money grab. I don't know. What do you make of it?
There was a lot there. First, I disagree with some of your percentages, but we don't need to get into that. How many of them are actually not guilty? But I do agree with you that most of the time, once it's over, they want it to be done, and they don't want to keep rehashing this. Also, millions of dollars in attorney's fees and costs. She sold her house. She's lost everything. She was unhireable for all of these years. So I'm sure she is in need of money. And I think she's entitled to get whatever money she deserves in the civil process. It doesn't bother me one bit. I don't know her personally. I've never spoken to her. So, you know, this is nothing like I know what kind of person she is or anything like that. But if this is true, what she's alleging, then she does deserve to be compensated for it, in my opinion.
Yes.
And I agree with you that
Thank you. Peter Tragos is also a plaintiff's lawyer, as am I. Handled lots of civil rights cases in my time. And in my opinion, if Karen Reed can prove this, which I think she will be able to, they can't write a check big enough. How big of a check would they have to write you to have gone through what Karen Reed went through? Having to sell your house, losing your jobs, liquidating your 401ks, the loss of your reputation. How big of a check would someone have to write you to lose all of that stuff? Tell me. Yeah, he says, I disagree with your percentages, but we don't have to get into that.
she is standing on business basically at this point saying, I have the truth, because she's been threatened and is going to be sued, if it hasn't happened already, for defamation, saying that she's defaming all of these people, lying about them, creating this false narrative, which was one of the allegations in the O'Keefe complaint, in the
Right.
wrongful death complaint. They also sued her for intentional infliction of emotional distress, saying she created this false narrative and pushed it out there in the media, and that they were injured because of that, and she caused them damages. So truth is an ultimate defense to defamation, and that's what she's
Right.
standing on, that she has the truth, she can prove it. She's got some gumption, she's not afraid, her lawyers are not afraid, they're sticking with her and pushing forward on this case. And sometimes it's a money grab either way, right? Like when you have a criminal case that you lost as a victim, I know you're not technically a party, and you still go forward on a civil litigation, you can still get a settlement. Often that's what would happen. You wouldn't even go to trial. And from her perspective too, if she just needed money and she's going to file this lawsuit and just get some money out of it, fine. It doesn't seem like that's what it is. And if this ends in a settlement, I'm going to assume it was a huge amount of money.
So
All right. So if you want to watch the rest of that interview, you can go over to Megyn Kelly's YouTube channel, and it's there. It was just posted. It was just posted. What today? I believe 18 hours ago. 18 hours ago, and she's got a different channel now called MK True Crime, where she has some lawyers come on and do shows like on her channel. And so there's that. But I was happy to see that she chose Peter Tragos to come on and speak about it, because I don't know that she knows a lot about the Karen Reed case. And I think I have seen some clips of other shows that she did on Karen Reed, like during the trials. And she just really thought that Karen Reed was guilty, I think. However, the injuries do not line up with the pedestrian versus motor vehicle accident. We've talked about it a million times, and we don't need to talk about it again. He did also talk about Turtleboy, right? He did. And then she said something like, well, so if I ever get arrested, then Turtleboy's the guy I want on my side, or something such as like that. I mean, I don't know where it is in this long video, because I only have the long video pulled up. But there was a clip in which Peter did talk about that, or she asked about Turtleboy as well.
The prosecution says
Bress has set up a drawn out timeline to lead up to 12:10 p.m. Oh, that's what they were trying to do with that testimony about the dog. Thank you, Bress, for your super chat. My Labrador mom has been here for 8 months and says, great work. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you for watching. And Alicia says, Lally's just not great at his job. There was a reason for it. We can talk about it later, but I don't really know what his reason was. I have thoughts, but those are thoughts that I'm just not going to share at this point. Thank you so much for being here for 13 months. And 11 Light says, Lally could have been waiting for AJ to badger Allie about the dog to keep with the narrative of how the defense was treating these poor witnesses. Maybe. Oh, could have been wanting her to, could have been wanting AJ to, I think that's a typo. Waiting for or wanting to, either one. Thanks for your 10. And Sarah takes on DC. Thanks for your 10 says, Mel, I love your presentation. So they lied on the stand during trial. How do we know they will tell the truth in depositions? Still under oath, serious question. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know that Allie McCabe lied about anything. So that's the only testimony that we watched today. But we don't know. We never know if anybody's lying in a deposition. We never know, but they can be impeached at trial if you can prove it. And you never know whether someone's lying or not. Does Massachusetts prosecute people for perjury even when they lie to a grand jury and then admit it on the stand under oath? No, it looks like they don't. So you never know if someone's telling the truth. But because so many of the people that were in the house have testified several times already, including in front of state grand juries and federal grand juries, and given witness statements and under oath at least one trial, their story's gonna have to remain the same, or else they can be impeached with that, right? Not if they're MSP, says Nicole. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns. Megyn is a lawyer. Did she practice law? I'm not sure. She may have in the very beginning of her career. I honestly don't know. Here's another case that's coming up for trial in Massachusetts. Tell me if you know about this case. I don't know if there's been a lot of press on this, but this Massachusetts doctor, this is a case in Middlesex County. There's a Massachusetts doctor named Dr. Derrick Todd who's going to trial on 2 rape charges at the end of January. He was a rheumatologist. He has been civilly sued by over 200 patients who claimed that he SA'd them. And his trial on the criminal side, for which he's only charged of 2 rapes, is supposed to be coming to trial at the end of January. Will it be televised? Has there been a lot of press on this? Have you guys heard of it? The Middlesex County District Attorney's Office announced a year ago, so in January of 2025, that Dr. Derrick Todd, the disgraced Boston rheumatologist who formerly practiced at Brigham and Women's Hospital and Charles River Medical Associates, was indicted of 2 counts of rape. He was arraigned, and that was in January of 2025, and pled not guilty. He had resigned from Brigham and Women's after an investigation by the hospital following complaints brought by 2 physicians in April of 2023 regarding improper exams conducted by Dr. Derrick Todd, because patients complained. Several patients complained after that, and he agreed to step down and to stop practicing medicine in September 2023, pending a full investigation. So the civil charges, in which over 200 patients have complained, and he's now going to go to trial in Middlesex County, and it's scheduled to start at the end of January. Has anybody heard about this? I think this needs to be televised. I'm gonna have to look a little bit more into it, but you guys can let me know if you're interested in following. Hang on for a second. Let me just look this up for you. Here's the, I think I found the clip of Peter. About Aiden, so hang on a second. Yeah, it's a clip from Megan's Instagram. I don't know if if this is cut out, if you're on replay and this is cut out later, that's why. Hang on. Here it is.
The name Turtleboy comes up a lot when you talk about what was happening outside the courthouse and the generation of a groundswell of opposition to the people you just saw on camera there, the people who are inside the house, including cops and their wives and so on. Who's Turtleboy?
So first, just to comment on what they're saying, I think it's horrible that people's lives get ruined and people get accused of things like this with very little evidence and, you know, go after their kids and their livelihoods and things like that. I also think that there are some fair criticisms, like the Alberts who lived in the house never came outside the entire morning when there were all these EMS people and witnesses and everything outside, and their friend is dead on their front lawn. They never come outside to try to help.
Wow.
Peter thinks it's wild, and he's getting killed, I think. He's getting killed over there on that social media that I don't participate on, but that's what you guys have told me.
Hi.
They both have emergency, or I know he has emergency training, was former law enforcement. That stuff is really strange to me and hard for me to get over. And the way they spoke about John O'Keefe, somebody that was supposed to be their friend, there's just so much strange stuff going on. Turtleboy is a journalist who looked into this case, found witnesses nobody knew about, like a tow truck or a plow driver that potentially had evidence that could help Karen Reed, that held everybody's feet to the fire, that was very loud with them.
Okay, he didn't find Lucky. We know he didn't find Lucky, but he interviewed Lucky before the Massachusetts State Police did. He interviewed him right before the Massachusetts State Police interviewed him. Is that correct? I believe that's true, because I believe that most of Lucky's interview is one of the only recorded interviews by MSP regarding the murder of John O'Keefe. The majority of that recorded interview, I've read the transcript, was about Aidan Carney, because they're still trying to incarcerate him again to this day. So he misspoke a little bit, but yeah, he's getting killed about that, right?
Megaphone about it that had his specific crass way of doing things. And, you know, he's almost like a caricature where he says the most hyperbolic thing he possibly can. He calls everybody every name in the book. He uses language that, you know, would make sailors probably turn red. And he does it a certain way, and a lot of people don't like it. And he has caught some witness intimidation charges because the statute is really kind of weird there in Massachusetts with that. But he has uncovered so much evidence that people did not know about. And people know about Karen Reed's case and exponentially more because of Turtleboy. So it's kind of like a love him or hate him, he is who he is type of scenario for him.
What you're saying is, God forbid I ever get accused of a crime, I want Turtleboy on my side.
There you go.
I would say he's a pretty good ally to have until he's not.
That's what she said. And listen, when you're on someone's show and you have limited time, you can't say everything that you want to say. So that's that. Yes, also the statute is being used in a targeted way. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Let's see what you guys are saying about Dr. Derrick Todd. Right. And look, Cupcake says, and when they finally did interview Lucky, they were mostly interested in what he told the FBI. And also everything they wanted to know, everything about Aidan Carney. Everything. Josh says, MSP only interviewed Lucky because Aidan brought his name public. And Jadzia says, yes, the MFC were hoping no one would know about Lucky. Because the Massachusetts State Police originally said no one plowed Fairview Road. Well, actually, I think, didn't they at one point say that it was an outside contractor called something like Beyond By the Yard? Remind me, I don't know. It was an outside contractor, and then it wasn't. It was really somebody for the town, and then it turned out to be Lucky. Something like that, right? And that Aurora says, trying to tell the story in an hour is impossible, even if Peter talked the whole time. Right. Right. And when you're asked pointed questions, you got to give the right answers. And who knows what was on the cutting room floor? I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. Right. Dave Matthews' neighbor is here and says it was an outside contractor named By the Yard who was actually a police officer for Canton. Yeah, I forget who it was that owned that company, but that's what they told them, but it was not an outside contractor. It was actually Lucky in the Franken truck for the town, plowing 34 Fairview, just as he had done for so many years, or plowing Fairview, just as he had done for so many years prior. And he knew the Alberts because they grew up together. And he didn't call the police or law enforcement when he saw the Ford Edge parked outside in front of the house because he didn't want them to get a ticket. But it stood out to him, I think he said, because he knew that they knew the regulations that when there was snow coming, you weren't supposed to park on the street. And so he just didn't plow that time because he didn't want them to get in trouble. Right? Something like that. Frankentruck. Yes. Please hit the like button to push the video out. Thank you very much, Scott, for reminding everyone to do that. Thank you so very much. Redondo Beach is here. I love Redondo Beach so much. Thanks for being here for 4 months. Worked for NBC for years. Karen Reed will not get that money. They don't pay. They don't, as far as I know, they ask you to come on their news segment. They do not pay you. Court TV does not pay you. Would they pay someone like Karen who's got a story to tell? I don't know. You're saying no. And Brass says, yes, he did breast and pelvic exams without chaperones as a rheumatologist. Thank you for your super chat. That's Dr. Derrick Todd we're talking about. Were any of these patients children? Were they all over 18? I don't know, but it reminds me of Larry Nassar. And the fact that 200 women, at least 200 patients, I don't even know if they're all women, have complained to the or involved in a class action lawsuit against him. This is regarding Derrick Todd, whose case is coming up in Middlesex County, the criminal part. It tells you something. Thanks, Lucy, for gifting the membership. I appreciate you so much. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, anything else out of Massachusetts you guys want to talk about today? I don't think anything more has come out about Sean Goode. And he was put on suspension beginning of November, right? So I guess we're going to have to stay tuned and see what happens. And we'll see if Sergeant Goode actually responds to this with an attorney. Obviously, he should be represented. Yes, Kelsey Fitzsimmons was released. As far as I know, she was home for Christmas. She was released that very same day. She actually came out of court and gave a statement. Let me see if I can find that for you. She spoke to the media. Hang on one second. What day was that? That was all these days are starting to blend together, you guys. Is it just me? Because it's like holiday weeks and short weeks. So I think that was it 2 days before Christmas? Hold on. Did Justice Served put it up? Yeah. No coverage at all? Hang on. There we go. Shout out to Justice Served. They interviewed Tim Bradel and Martha Coakley the day that Kelsey Fitzsimmons was released, and that was 6 days ago, December 23rd. Let's watch the statements that they gave the day that Kelsey was finally set free and able to go home with her mother and her stepfather.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Not that I don't want to see you.
And her lawyers are now.
Yeah, she's on her way.
She's on the way.
We thought we'd come down and give you our statements, and she'll be down and talk to you. She is getting out. We want to make that clear.
That is Martha Coakley. She is on the defense team for Kelsey Fitzsimmons. She's the former Attorney General for the state of Massachusetts.
Go right ahead, Martha.
Yeah, just briefly. You know, this has been a very long and strange pretrial odyssey in this case. It's not over yet. We still have a lot of work to do. But we're delighted today that Kelsey Fitzsimmons is going home for Christmas, New Year's, and beyond with her family. It's been a long time coming. She's delighted. You'll get to hear from her shortly. You know, we are confident as we get ready for trial now that we will have all the facts before a jury. We trust a jury to sort this out. And we are also confident that in that process, many of the facts that have been before the court to date, which have been unrebutted, which we do not believe are accurate, will come out. And we believe that Kelsey Fitzsimmons will be confirmed to be innocent, as she is now. So we're delighted to work with her, to represent her, and thank you for your coverage of this, and you will hear from her shortly.
What are some of the facts that you would rebut?
So without going into the material facts, you'll note that in the SJC decision, the court relied upon, as they're entitled to do, they get great discretion, but the SJC said that, you know, an affidavit, for instance, that's filed in another jurisdiction that's unrebutted, unanswered, was the basis for some of the court's determinations early on. Some prior records from a long time ago, some oral statements by individuals that were made to police. And I just want to stress that at this stage of a trial, when we're talking about pretrial detention, we're talking about bail, those are all things in which the district court, the superior court, and indeed the SJC and the Commonwealth have the upper hand. In a court that has a trial, the defendant comes in innocent, and every single burden of proof is on the Commonwealth at that stage. And we believe, knowing the facts as we do, and knowing our client as we do, that we will rebut those facts, and she will be found innocent.
One of the conditions of this release is that she stay away from her baby. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I'm not going to talk about something that's in another proceeding. There are probate court matters that are beyond the purview of this court. That is what we are concerned with here are the criminal charges and issues in the probate court, particularly because she has been in custody.
That's a stipulation that was entered into between both sides in the family court proceeding.
Have continued, and I'm not going to speak beyond that. I'm not involved in those proceedings, but this is a case that involves a lot of facts that came together on June 30th, and that's what will be a trial. Simply what happened that day on June 30th.
Should she have been held all this time of more than 100 days?
Well, that's my point, that this has been up to the court so far, that we have fought to get her out. We have fought to make sure that she had conditions that she could comply with. She agreed with that decision. She's been very stoic. She knows that this is going to be a long process, but she's been willing to do that because she feels so strongly about her own innocence in this case.
Do you think that was unfair, that she was held as long as she was?
I'm not going to comment on that. I think that's behind us. We know she's out today, and we believe that she will be deemed innocent once a jury hears this case. So we are really pleased with the trial court's decision. She will be out shortly, so you will hear from her. And she will be, most importantly, going home to her family, all of whom have been here supporting her every time she's come into court for Christmas and for New Year's.
What about the judge's suggestion that this could have been done much earlier?
Well, we had an appeal that we put a lot of
He said what, and that was Michael Bryant. What about the suggestion that this could have been done a lot earlier, that she could have been out a lot earlier?
time into, and we wanted to prosecute the appeal. There were a lot of other things that we wanted to address in the appeal beyond just custody issues. So we made the election to keep going with the appeal. Typically, you know, the appeal would be what they call mooted. If we came back here seeking relief here, we could have had the whole appeal thrown out the window. So.
And did she tell you anything about how she's feeling about coming to this point? And the fact that it's so long in coming?
She feels great. She's been inspirational. She's developed quite a thick skin, you know, and she's been through a lot. And we talked about how this whole incarceration itself has been another difficult event for her. So she's strong. She's doing great. She's committed to going to trial. She doesn't have a lot of time because she has one day to do all her Christmas shopping, online, of course. But she's going to be okay.
Is she healed from the wounds from the shot?
She's getting there. You know, she still has some serious medical care that she has to undergo, which we're going to take care of now that she's out of custody, thank God, and we'll address that as it comes. Yeah.
Has she said anything about wanting to be reinstated as a police officer once this is all over?
Well, there's a lot of balls in the air, and that one we haven't gotten to yet. But we have a long way to go before that. We have a lot of faith and trust in the jury system, and between Martha and me, there's been quite a few jury trials under our belts. So we're looking ahead to that. We're feeling great about it. Kelsey has total trust in the jury system. She can't wait to get this behind her. So that's a probate matter, and that's sort of reflected in the allegations that were. That's a probate matter, and that's sort of reflected in the allegations that were made by her fiance. And here, really, we're not gonna get into that.
And here she comes.
And here's Kelsey.
Yeah.
Hi, Kelsey.
How are you, Kelsey?
Hey. So I told them that you have a lot of Christmas shopping to do, so you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can you talk about what your reaction is now that you're out?
I just want to say a few short things. I just want to thank my legal team for not giving up on me. And I want to thank my supporters. And I just have full faith in the jury system. And it's going to be good when the truth comes out.
How do you feel that one of the conditions of your release is not to be with your baby?
It's going to be good when the truth comes out, says Kelsey. I believe that's her dad standing behind her in the gray suit.
The truth comes out.
How do you feel that one of the conditions of your release is not to be with your baby?
How do you feel that one of the conditions of your release is not to be around your baby? Listen, we've already covered this, okay? This is a stipulation between Kelsey and Justin in family court. There's a stipulation that she's not going to see the baby. Okay, so how do you think she feels about it? They've already agreed to it. That it being a condition of her release has nothing to do with it, because in another court they've already stipulated to it. So I don't know who this reporter is, but how do you think she feels not spending her baby's first Christmas with her baby? I don't know. Take a guess.
So we're not
As
going to.
You would imagine.
Yeah, you can guess, but we're not going to go there today.
She has shopping to do, and I also want to announce, maybe I'm dropping the ball on this, but there's a tree waiting for you at home to decorate. So
Yes.
you want to get there, right?
Yes. I'm going to spend it with my family.
And her dog. She can't wait to see her dog.
I don't know.
Whatever you want. Whatever.
Sushi.
And she's got.
Can you describe what it's like to, you've been spending the last several months behind bars, and to know that a couple days before Christmas, you're now going to be going home to your mom's house. Can you tell people what that's like for you?
It's everything I've wished for these past few months. All I wanted to do was be home with my family for Christmas. So that's all I wished for.
How did you feel like being in front of the same judge that removed your head?
So we're going to leave that in the.
How did you feel about this being in front of that same judge who locked you up today? Something like that. I think she's not going to disparage the judge.
So we're going to leave that in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, we're looking ahead. We're confident we're looking ahead, and I think that's it for questions.
You've been behind bars for over 100 days.
It sounds like there's like a swing set or something in the background. I don't know what that squeaking noise is, but if you have earbuds on, I apologize on behalf of whatever that squeaking noise is, because it's bothering me too.
Can you talk about if this is just a long time coming? Did you think
You've been behind bars for over 100 days. Do you think this is just a long time coming? What?
We're confident we're looking ahead, and I think that's it for questions.
You've been behind bars for over 100 days. Can you talk about if this is just a long time coming? Did you think you should have been out a lot sooner?
Do you think you should have been out a lot sooner?
We made our position clear. We wanted to prosecute it all the way to the SJC, which we did. And, Kelsey healed up enough so that she can comply with the court's terms. So here we are, and we're looking ahead, and we can't wait to get this to a jury.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Great job, guys.
Thank you very much. She's like, goodbye. Thank you to Michael Bryant for being there, boots on the ground, always doing such great work and good coverage. So go on and give Michael And Linda Kenny bought in a like and a sub. Thank you, because they don't get mad about me playing their stuff. Something just came to my attention here. As of, I don't know, 12:15 Eastern, apparently, guess who else has been in Norfolk County? Oh, well, I can't share my screen with you because, of course, StreamYard lost connection. So let me just refresh real quick, and we'll talk about Stefon Diggs. Give me 2 minutes to refresh my browser. Actually, not 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Well, let's see if it works this time. According to ESPN, as of about 45 minutes ago, Stefon Diggs is facing strangulation and assault charges in Dedham. In Dedham. He was in court today at 11 a.m. in Dedham District Court. Was anybody there? Did anybody go? New England Patriots wide receiver Stefon Diggs is facing a felony charge of strangulation and a misdemeanor charge of assault from an alleged incident on December 2nd. A motion hearing took place at 11 a.m. Eastern today at the Dedham District Court in Massachusetts. WCVB-TV reports that a judge is deciding whether to impound the court documents ahead of Diggs's arraignment January 23rd, which is the Friday before the AFC Championship game. Oh my God. Because you just can't make it up. He is the father of Cardi B's most recent child, right? She was pregnant during the trial of Cardi B that we watched. Cardi B was pregnant. It is Stefon Diggs' baby. He's the father. And because you just can't make it up. Quote, the New England Patriots are aware of the accusations that have been made regarding Stefon Diggs. Stefon has informed the organization that he categorically denies the allegations. We support Stefon, said the Patriots in a statement. We will continue to gather information and will cooperate fully with the appropriate authorities and the NFL as necessary. Out of respect for all parties involved, and given that this is an ongoing legal matter, we will have no further comment at this time. Diggs' attorney, David Meyer. Why is that name familiar to me? Who else does he represent? Does he represent one of the defendants? Carrie. Why is David Meyer's case name familiar? Remind me. Diggs' attorney, David Meyer, said, and it's Meier, said in a statement that allegations are unsubstantiated. There's a picture of Stefon Diggs in full uniform for the Patriots. Stefon Diggs categorically denies these allegations. They are unsubstantiated, uncorroborated, and were never investigated because they did not occur. The timing and motivation for making the allegations is crystal clear. They are the direct result of an employee-employer financial dispute that was not resolved to the employee's satisfaction. Stefon looks forward to establishing the truth in a court of law, Myers said. And Cardi B must be saying,
hello.
Hello. Hello, I'm here.
Because I don't know what this is about. Oh, Zimmy says attorney David Meyer is leading the investigation into the death of Massachusetts State Police Trooper Enrique Delgado Garcia. Thank you. No, it's Meier. He's not a podcaster. Let's not get confused. According to the Boston Globe, Diggs' lawyer, well, now it says the lawyer is Michael DiStefano, said there would be substantial risk of widespread publicity that could taint the case without keeping all the details sealed. Maybe he has two lawyers. Diggs' defense team said it's working on a monetary resolution to the incident, according to the Globe. Okay, so did a disgruntled employee sue him? That's what it sounds like. We are aware of the matter and have been in contact with the club, the NFL said in a statement. We have no further comment at this time. Diggs, 32, leads the Patriots with 82 receptions for 970 yards with 4 touchdowns. The Patriots, 13-3, have their final regular season game on Sunday night against the Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins, and then will be in the AFC playoffs. I need more information on this. A monetary settlement? Right. So is this like Dedham District Court? Is it a criminal action or a civil action? They're not really giving us a whole lot of information here. They're not really giving us a whole lot of information. If anybody has more information, certainly. No, we need the papers. We need the papers. If anybody gets the papers out of Dedham District Court, let me know. But I'm sure right now, if I even try and look it up in mass courts, I'll try because I'm here for you. And that's what we do. We pivot. But let's look it up. Dedham District Court. Was anybody there today? It was a super secret hearing that happened at 11 a.m. If we search by name, let's see if it'll come up. No, no records have been found. Maybe he goes by a different name. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's criminal. It says arraignment is scheduled for January 23rd, 2026. But they say it's suspicious timing. Does anybody know who the victim is of the alleged strangling? Was this publicized when it happened at the time? I don't know. Felony, strangulation, and assault charges against 2, though. Against 2. They say sounds like it's a disgruntled employee. Hold, please. See if WCVB has any video out yet. Because that's what we do here. And they do. So it's breaking, and we're here for it because that's WCVB is on it. For those of you who are interested, let's take a look. Courtesy of WCVB, Boston.
Oh, breaking right now on WBZ, New England Patriots star Stefon Diggs is...
Oh, sorry. I misnamed them. It's WBZ, not WCVB. WBZ.
Facing serious criminal charges. We have just obtained paperwork from Dedham District Court indicating that the wide receiver is charged with felony strangulation or suffocation and misdemeanor assault and battery. This is stemming from an incident back on December 2nd. Diggs is scheduled to be arraigned on the charges in Dedham on January 23rd. That is just 2 days before the AFC Championship game. The wide receiver's attorneys were in court this morning for a hearing, and we are working to learn more about the incident that led to these charges. We did reach out to the Patriots for a statement. We have that for you here. It says the New England Patriots are aware of the accusations that have been made regarding Stefon Diggs. Stefon has informed the organization that he categorically denies the allegations. We support Stefon. We will continue to gather information and will cooperate fully with the appropriate authorities and the NFL as necessary, out of respect for all of the parties involved. And given that this is an ongoing legal matter, we will have no further comment at this time. We want to bring in Dan Roach now to talk about this with us and the impact.
Wow. Everything happens in Dedham. This is WCVB. And David Meyer, Meier, is the attorney who was appointed by the Attorney General in Massachusetts to lead the investigation into Enrique Delgado Garcia's death. Same guy.
Rochi, that this could have for the team, for the playoffs? We've been on such a roll. How does Coach Vrabel make sure that this doesn't become a distraction for them?
Well, Brianna, I think it's very early in the fact-finding part of this as far as just what happened, how it happened, when it happened, who was involved, and everything else, which we haven't seen or heard yet. So I think that's the first part of it. And then the second part to me is that he categorically denies it when it comes to what happened. So we're going to have to find out the story. Beyond that, I can tell you that as a veteran, a wide receiver, a number one wide receiver coming in, there were questions about Stefon Diggs and, how would he behave? How would he handle it? A lot of the number one wide receivers could be divas, if you call it, at times. And he has been nothing but a role model, a perfect citizen in that clubhouse or locker room for this New England Patriots team, so much so that he's emerged as a leader. The players look up to him. I think the coaching staff certainly respects him. And everything that he's done in a Patriots uniform has been good for the team. In fact, just the other day, post-game after their win over the Jets down in New Jersey, he was speaking in the locker room talking about being 30 yards away from being a 1,000-yard wide receiver, I think, for the 7th time in his career. And he had knee surgery last year and came back, and I think it meant a lot to him. He was almost, to me, kind of emotional, almost in tears, saying he just wants to win, that these milestones don't mean as much to him anymore in his career. At this point of his career, he just wants to win, loves this team, and wants to be a part of them trying to win a Super Bowl. So, like I said, it's again, nothing surprises me, in sports anymore. But I think for everything that we've seen and have been with the guy from day one here in that Patriots locker room, he's been nothing but a role model citizen. So we shall see how it unfolds. But from my perspective, he's been everything you want as a teammate, as a leader, as a New England Patriot so far.
Yeah, Rochi, certainly a lot of positive things ahead of him. He's a dad, has a new baby with Cardi B. But again, here, the breaking news, he is going to be arraigned.
Somebody's saying that it's his personal chef. I don't know about that. But even if there's a financial settlement, understand that just because the victim, the alleged victim of this alleged strangulation and assault, even if they don't want to press charges, the district attorney still has the opportunity to move ahead with the case. And the district attorney in Dedham, and wow, wouldn't that be a lot of publicity for Norfolk County prosecuting Stefon Diggs? Wouldn't it be? You can actually sue someone civilly for assault. You absolutely can. And so it was unclear when I first read this, whether it was criminal or civil, or somebody went to get a restraining order against him. Perhaps I thought that's what it might be, but it seems to be criminal charges. And interesting timing. Personal chef, you guys are saying? Okay, well, we'll have to get into this more because, of course, we can't get out of Massachusetts. We can't even get out of Norfolk County. Or Norfolk County, as we call it sometimes.
In 2 days before the AFC Championship. So we will see what happens. We will stay on top of it. Rochi, thank you for your insight, as always here.
And of course, the charges themselves may seem self-explanatory to lay people, but there's always a lot to it. We want to enter in WBZ legal analyst Jennifer Roman here to help us make sense of all of this. Jennifer, first things first, we have a felony charge and a misdemeanor charge. Can you explain each one or both?
Sure. So the felony charge would carry with it a much more serious sentence than the misdemeanor charge, and it would include the potential for imprisonment in the state prison versus just the regular jail. So the nature of the charges make them very different. We don't know if it's a strangulation or a suffocation at this point. We don't really know what the facts are supporting these allegations, but that is definitely the more serious charge of the two. The assault and battery would carry a sentence up to 2.5 years in the House of Correction as a misdemeanor if convicted. Whether or not somebody gets.
Wait a second. Remind me who Jennifer Roman is, because didn't she do some commentary on Karen Reed? I don't remember what side she was on. They're saying this took place on, I think, December 2nd, I think. And I need more information.
Hello?
Hello. Hello, I'm here.
They already don't know anything. I know. They don't know anything. And does the felony charge bump it up to Superior Court out of Dedham District Court? We'll see.
It's if convicted, whether or not somebody actually receives the type of sentence they receive depends on the nature of the crime, whether or not they accept responsibility in any way, show remorse, but also whether or not there's a prior criminal history here that would support a harsher sentence. So as this all sort of still is unfolding, we really don't know a whole lot. We'll know more at the arraignment later in January. That should provide some more details about what the allegations are and would shed some light on what potential sentence could look like if he's actually convicted.
Okay, so you mentioned that arraignment. That's January 23rd. There was this motion hearing today. Can you explain briefly, lay terms, what a motion hearing is?
Sure. It's just a way to ask the court to do something that you want. So in this case, the defense is making a formal request that the file be impounded, which would keep it out of the public purview, would keep it away from the press. Those types of motions, when you're talking about somebody who has the kind of star power that Stefon Diggs has, are not usually granted because we do have public interest in these very public figures. So much of their life is already public. There's not really this heavy privacy interest here. So I would be surprised if the judge allowed the defense motion to impound this file and keep it out of the public purview, but it is a possibility.
Yeah, interesting. A lot of stuff there. All right, Jennifer, thanks so much for your time. And that January 23rd arraignment is on a Friday, just 2 days before the conference championships.
All right, that's all we know for now. So we'll have to keep on top of this one too. But I can pretty much. Do you think that Michael Marcy would want to pursue this? That's his last hurrah before maybe he doesn't run for district attorney again. I don't know. Interesting. Thank you, Jersey girl. Or Jersey, for being here for 7 months, is wishing you and all the cupcakes a Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. And thank you, Quinley, for your 10 and for your compliments, and I'll allow it. I'll allow it. I appreciate you so much. And Thunderhorse says that I'm the best, and I will allow that as well. Thank you guys so much. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Stefon Diggs because did anybody show up in court today? This was probably totally kept secret. Nobody probably showed up. No media knew that this was happening. And what do you guys think? I think something's going to happen, but I'm not sure what. Got to digest this a little more because it just broke as we were here. And a lot of stuff that's out there seems to be like gossip. Well, Diggs' attorney made a remote appearance in Dedham District Court today, seeking to have the police report impounded and arguing that the details should remain sealed. According to court documents, Diggs is charged with felony strangulation or suffocation and misdemeanor assault and battery. DeStefano also disclosed to the court that Diggs has made a financial offer to resolve the dispute with the alleged victim in the case. As we speak, they're working to come to an agreement on that. Again, like I said, even if they reach some financial settlement, it doesn't mean that the DA can't go ahead with the charges. As of late Tuesday morning, a judge had not yet made any rulings. And we went over the Patriots statement. And that he will be arraigned Friday, January 23rd. So there's that. All right, my friends, thank you so much for going to hang out with me today. We did about 2.5 hours, and you guys are the greatest. Thank you to the moderators for doing the Lord's work and helping us maintain a chat that is civil in many ways and respectful. And I appreciate you, and not defamatory. And that's one of the things, and not including rumor, gossip, and speculation. And we try to do that. So thank you, each and every one of you. Happy New Year. If I don't see you before then, but I'm sure I probably will. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy, stay safe above all things out there. And don't believe everything you read on the internet. Peace out, you guys. I'll see you. Oh, wait a second. Hold on, because thank you, Kyle. I don't know if anything is going to be in the docket yet, but we do have the docket number. So let me just. Is anything on the docket, though, yet, Kyle? Hang on. Hold, please. One more second. Just one last thing before we go. we can see at least what the charges are. 1 second. Okay, looks like his attorneys are, as we said, Michael DeStefano out of Boston and David Meyer, also out of Boston, charged with strangulation or suffocation under 265-15 DB. That's a felony. And a misdemeanor assault and battery under 265-13A. The motion's been allowed. So there was a motion. It says it's been allowed. A motion to impound the police report and related documents filed with the following, if any, supporting documents. The motion was allowed. The judge's name is Jean Marie Carroll with 2 R's and 2 L's. There's a motion. Well, it's a defendant's motion to impound the police report filed and denied. But then subsequent to that, it says motion for protective order allowed. Motion allowed. And it was held today at 11 a.m. And a complaint issued with a summons, but everything may be sealed now, so we can't get it. Oh, we need our badass affirmation of the day. Sorry, I forgot. Here you go. We do this every day. And today we didn't do it yet. So here it is. Affirmations for a badass. I will shuffle the deck. And here it is, my friends, my cupcakes. Here you go. I find my happy place and go with the effing flow. I find my happy place and go with the effing flow. That is your badass affirmation of the day. Just do it. Find your happy place and go with the effing flow. Okay. All right, you guys. Happy birthday. Whose birthday? Ms. Holmes, it's your birthday? Happy birthday to you. Everyone, happy birthday to Ms. Holmes, 66. She's not telling us your birthday is New Year's Day. That's awesome. Were you the first baby born in your county that year? Because that person always gets a shout out in the New York Post. Love you. Love you too. I hope you have an amazing day. I'll probably see you before then, but for auld lang syne, my dear. Thank you so much. I will see you guys real soon. And we have a lot of things to catch up on and keep on top of as well. All right, you guys. Peace.